of areas, and my example, I mean, I have transferred from a core engineering background to sociology to public policy, kind of a mixed kind of a background, and I'm still exploring the kind of career I would like to pursue after my PhD. So keep on exploring, keep on seeing things in a wider manner. My example, I mean, I have inputs from a lot of other disciplines, and I'll end my talk here and I'll hand it over to Brijesh. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the importance of different disciplines to deal with different issues in today's society, and also for encouraging us to expose ourselves and not forgetting for sharing your valuable knowledge with us today. It was indeed a very wonderful presentation. Thank you once again, sir. Now, moving on, we will have Dr. Brijesh Chandra Tripati. He is an assistant professor as a guest faculty, Jyoti Dalal School of Liberal Arts and IMS Mumbai. He will be speaking on the topic sociology, academic critical sociology, policy-based sociology, and public sociology, the journey of enmeshed relationship between sociology and society. Sir, you may have your time now.
So, thank you so much. I'm audible, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, I would like to thank organizers for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with all of us. And I'm also thankful to Chandni for like, extending an invitation for this talk. So, like this, in continuation with what Sneha and Abhinav have already spoken, so I would like to continue the discussion, but more in, I would not say very academic sense, but what is happening to sociology, our students, researchers outside classroom or university setting. What brings us in the universities? What are the other factors, and like how we can stay back, how we can bring our knowledge from university back into the society. So I will be more invested with these questions. So I will not bore you in the beginning with a lot of information about my PhD journey, but to quickly just tell like our participants that I recently finished my PhD on topic of urban politics, and my fieldwork was located in Mumbai city with a group of people, community living on the claim land, which is shown in government record as mangroves, and they do not have legal entitlement ownership to live over that piece of land. So, but that was the fascinating journey of fieldwork done in 2.5 years. That they are not there only to claim the living in the city as with one identity. Let us say by saying citizen, they just deploy multiple identities. Sometimes as human being, sometimes declaring them as activist, right, claiming right to the city or contributing to the city. So there were like different markers, identities they were bringing to that. So with that note, I would like to go that we need to begin about our journey of sociology not in the university or college, but in our own community or family. The way sociology is seen, and when I'm saying here, because sociology is seen as one of the most softer disciplines if you compare with economics and political science, which has lesser prestige or status in the society. If someone announcing in a public gathering or community that I'm a sociologist, in comparison to someone being introduced as a doctor, as a reputed engineer, in that comparison I'm talking. So this is a very gendered field also, like in a smaller town in North India, like maybe true for other places. So it is more considered for girls and young women's discipline that they may not be making career into it. It is just paths are bringing social esteem and status in the society. But with that note, let me go to some of us, as I was told that the audience will be diversified with some of us maybe having accumulated work experience. So it's not that sociology research, PhD or further research can be done by the people who are part of only academia, active academia. Some of us may be doing work in journalism or other field, not directly associated with academia. They can come back and they can contribute by meeting to the worlds, academic world as well as societal world, other professional world they can meet. So just for our understanding, in US, one of the most prolific and popular sociologists, Robert Park, he came to university for teaching at the age of 49. But before that, his journey, trajectory, like Abhinav was saying, his experiences were very diversified. For close to 7, 8 years, from 1907 to 1950, he agreed to be personal secretary to a very prominent black activist, Booker T. Washington, leaving his well-paid job in Washington, and he wanted to understand the issue of black people. Again, he went back to journalism and joined University Chicago University at the age of 49. And as student of sociology, like most of us, especially in urban sociology, have read about Robert Park, that he defined the contours and agenda of urban sociology for next 30, 40 years, even after Second World War also. So that's the one like example I would like to take forward, that how people are sometimes they have inertia, reluctance to come back to academics or take forward research, even if they are teaching in classroom sitting. That like teaching is nice, but we should not take a further research journey of PhD. So I would further speak a few things at the beginning. When I said that journey of sociology is not into university setup, it is embedded into our family, into our social gatherings, and friend circle everywhere. So there are certain myths and conceptions and realities about sociology. So there is plenty to talk about. Like one of them is it is not job fetching in pegging order. It's not one of the best careers to take up. And this anxiety is not new one, like Sneha shared about having two choices of doing social work and then eventually making her journey on the trajectory of sociology. So this anxiety cutting across the society, even it was in 1960s in US society also, relatively more developed society where C. Wright Mills mentioned that book, Sociological Imagination. So Mills write in his book that like the opening paragraph itself says that low status of socialists in American society. If someone introduces in a party or social gathering that I am socialist, he compares that you draw status closer to being insurance agent, that undesirable. People will not be willing to talk to you, like we know, like it's open secret. People try to avoid insurance agents in our society also. So that's kind of anxieties we all face. And but what has happened, what is happening of late with that anxiety, that some of us may decide not to do sociology. What is C. Wright Mills wrote in 1960, the dilemma was faced by American sociologists, even tenured professors who completed their PhD, they were teaching, but they did not feel enough respected in the society. So they decided to be part of public policy groups or start writing reports or contributing to the governments in order to, it was not intellectual crisis, it was public image crisis for them. And we all like, if established sociologists can face, we can imagine a person who is just BA or MA and wondering about whether to embark upon the journey of sociology or not, be sociologist or not. In childhood, as I will discuss, like I have not seen anyone like people, parents and children talking that when I grow up, I will become doctor, engineer, go into civil services. I have not heard in any public or family conversation that I want to be sociologist. So like as I proceed, so one interesting piece written by Professor Ramesh Bedi, he writes that even till master's level, even Sneha was telling her dilemma, that students are not clear whether they want to be sociologists in their life or not. So they are caught in the dilemma. It's not purely intellectual, academic decision, but it is social image and legitimacy you need to seek in the family and at the larger society also. So that is why they keep exploring other possibilities of jobs, doing public policy, social work, joining civil services, and one more thing, like we need to talk. In fact, we need to talk more clearly. That is a significant number of people who are in the university doing sociology either at graduation level, post graduation level, are teaching in colleges without PhD. They are just caught with this dilemma that most of them are like, I would say not most of them, but a significant amount, like they are first generation academician, first generation people who have gone to university. So there is family expectation of meeting financial needs also. And then PhD journey looks a bit longer, like graduation, then masters and MPhil. Now there is new education policy. MPhil may be scrapped, but another 4 6 years to do PhD. But family may be in need of immediate finances. Then sometimes it like other external factors are a student may be very bright, committed to the cause of sociology or understanding societal problems, but family is pulling back. So those are the questions like Sneha suggested is we need to have more access to information about fellowship or other opportunities, how we can meet non-university challenges to continue in the field of sociology. Right. So moving further, like what Abhinav has spoken, Sneha talked about this dilemma of sociology, social work, technical field, different issues. So this, if sociology is facing this crisis in relation to other disciplines, within sociology there are internal fault lines, conflicts, people are fighting. Within sociology, what should be its status? If we go back, like as to Sneha's discussion when we talk about classical sociologists like Durkheim, so then in that contemporary German society, sociology emerged more or less as moral enterprise to protect society by understanding societal problems. Because in discipline of psychology, a lot of people were studying migration to urban spaces by agricultural, used to be agricultural families as moral decline, losing their agricultural society's values. So in that backdrop, I have just borrowed few observations from Michael Buraboy's article. He wrote The Future of Sociology, this tension, capturing tension within sociology. And he talks like, as Sneha just hinted at, academic sociology or critical sociology. This is most developed, prolific branch of sociology, which we all know, classical sociology or theories. There, the expectation is on understanding societal problem, and they theorize it. They no commitment, I would say, like I maybe sweeping remark to just solve the problem. Purely, it is an enterprise, intellectual enterprise to understand societal problem or clarify the question. What could be futuristic, more gravity of the question society faces, like this pandemic? Like, what will be its impact on family, economic consequences, trust factor within the society, people who were working like in the domestic mates in the families, but now not getting salary from their employers. So how the trust factor is broken. So this could be a question of academic or critical sociologists, but without offering a set of the suggestions that can solve the problem. On the other hand, if we see public sociology, it will bring to Sneha's discussion on her dilemma during master's time, social work and doing sociology. So what public sociology does, it theorizes the problem, understands the problem of prevailing injustice and inequality in the society. On the other hand, it has a danger. A public sociology can go in a way of supporting ruling ideology also. It could be good for cause of bigger interests like democracy, equality and freedom, or it could be supportive of authoritarian regime also. So, but public sociology retains two major objectives. One is contributing to critical knowledge. That's the mandate of academic sociology also. And secondly, like uh, that's linkage between not only social work with other fields also. Public sociology also connects world with social movements or political movements. It theorizes, understands, it provides intellectual energy to these movements. So it's not that sociology should be constrained to only looking up to the job. Some of us may be very passionate, committed to the cause of a region or a community. Then sociology also can supply a lens in the long run to think futuristically, developing, building a longer vision, not thinking tangibly only to get a university job or an NGO or some government department. So that's the another role of public sociology. In nutshell, public sociology is there to bring change in the society, unlike our academic sociology. And if we read, if you recall from your observation from movies we watch, so movies could also be a source, like they can chip in the domain of public sociology. So there may be movies on agricultural crisis, range of issues captured by movies, marginalization, gender question. So that's the domain of public sociology, but more in textual form. And now I come to something which is the big uh, uproar in academic sociology, the new discipline which is almost willing to overshadow or dilute the identity of classical sociology, that policy-based sociology. And it claims it is more American-centric approach, which came up in 1970s and 80s. It claims it should to be more value neutral. That means it doesn't capture subjective reality. It tries to be more quantitative research oriented, and it moves away, departs from classical sociology. But public sociology, what it has done, like it captures what Sneha has also spoke and Abhinav hinted. Policy sociology is bringing that tension among all of us, whether we are in PhD or planning to join PhD, which way to go. Like if after doing PhD we will become university professor, or we want to work in international organizations, NGOs, or we want to open our own public organization, community-based organization. So public policy is bringing that churning among us. And what is happening because of public policy, government, NGOs and other think tanks are also doing research with the same rigor the way it could be done in university departments. So one very prominent Indian sociologist, Beena Das, writes that what has happened, policy-based public sociology has challenged the hegemonic or exclusive authority of university to produce knowledge in the universities, in sociology department. So what is happening, that is also at a time confusing for us, but at the same time we are going in the direction the way Western world has gone. It is opening new avenues of uh, implementing or using our skills, set of skills, knowledge, understanding the problem of sociology, not only in the university departments as a professor, we may be a researcher full-time in think tanks, public policy organizations are working for the NGOs. If you just read across, you will find Moxfam and Greenpeace. Their research is as rigorous, methodologically sound as it could be done by a group of university professors. So that's Beena Das is hinting that university is no more seen as an exclusive domain of knowledge production in any discipline, and sociology is no exception to that. But in this backdrop, what is happening? Like we read a lot of things in pegging order. If someone is seeking admission at BA level, people will try for economics or political science, and they will land up at the end in sociology. If they have no bargaining power, they are not getting any better subject. But what Michael Buravu has spoken about, the issue of India, actually this his paper was initially presented in Indian Sociological Conference itself, way back in 2007. So what he wrote, like, that struck to me, that people who keep talking about sociology will die, it doesn't have a scope, it will not give us job. But it actually it has a hope, it has a future. We must understand. Reason being, as long as society will live, societies will be there, sociology will exist. Because there will be societal problems, we will be looking forward to solve those societal problems. So we cannot dismiss it off. So we have not to think about sociology merely in instrumental way of fetching a job. We have a larger responsibility also. And then Sneha has already spoken about the issues how to deal with non-academic factors of looking for fellowship. If some of us are reluctant to go to urban spaces, my own experiences, I could not have been able to afford rent, giving rent in metropolis like Mumbai. But thanks to accommodation offered by IT, I could stay back and read and write for my PhD journey. So there are little things we are apprehensive about that we cannot afford. But if we step up, like there may be opportunities to solve non-academic factors that are prohibiting our journey to take up research also. So, and one more thing I would like to talk, but someone should let me know when I have to stop. So accordingly, I have to need to pace. Otherwise, I will maybe speaking for another 10 minutes. Is that okay? Or?
Sir, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. So uh, that's and I just Abhinav has introduced me to that work. Some of us who may be working in corporate or any community organization, NGO, are teaching in certain colleges or university as assistant professor of sociology for years. You may be wonderful teacher, like transferring knowledge to students, helping them to move forward. But the one thing which remains not that profound is like your researcher's skill. If someone travels the journey of taking a PhD, you could not just provide literature review or range of arguments in the classroom setting. After doing PhD as a teacher, your skills increase and you can help a particular student. You can capture the potential of BA undergraduate students, whether that students have potential. You can push, motivate that student to take up further research. So that's not only tangible benefit of job of doing PhD, but larger responsibility to juniors and other people in the community we take up. Like what I've been told, like a Muni, I'm not recalling his first name, American anthropologist. So he was trained in the law. He did his law course and he joined a corporate law firm. And his joining date was Bhopal gas tragedy in 1984 or 1986. I'm not sure about the year. So Mooney writes that it was the first year, and for a year or two, he was part of that law firm which was fighting for the company, union that company, and he was fighting to protect the interests of the company against victims back home here in Bhopal, people who were suffering physically, emotionally, financially. But within 2 years, he changed his mind and he switched the job. But eventually, he came back and he came back to academia to do his PhD. But this time, his identity was reversed. He identified more with those victims of Bhopal gas tragedy and ended up writing a fascinating thesis on that. So it's never late, or it's just kind of a push. You can just come out of inertia, whether you are in college setup or in NGO or public organization. If there is urge to just connect at the larger level, you can come back to do research. And so this and one more thing, like which we do not talk oftenly in open, but that remains host is with all of us. Some of us who come from public schooling and who are not very prolific, articulate in English, and at the undergraduate level or the master's level, you may have ideas to share with peers or ask questions from the instructors, professors, but you may be hesitant that am I articulate enough? My ideas are useful or not for this class? So what happens? Language barrier. Language remains one of the barriers which we do not openly wish to talk because it hampers our self-image. So, but it reminds me this about language barrier, that language is just merely secondary factor. If you have motivation to do research, it reminds me of debate between two philosophers, John Rawls and Amartya Singh. So, in reply to Amartya Singh's ideas on justice, which are more imagination of egalitarian society in America, Amar Singh criticized that suppose what about those societies where the word justice does not exist? So Ross wrote a very nice reply to saying that the word may not exist in a given society, but a bundle of ideas, our emotions, our subjectivities, which may be communicated by justice in different societies where justice word may not exist in a particular language, but there may be articulation. Our subjectivities or emotions, opinions about justice, which may not be necessarily put into one word. So that's a very fascinating thing for all of us, that we may have ideas and we may be very articulate in capturing societal problems, local problems, but we may not be so prolific or fluent in English speaking or English writing. So that could be another put off factor for not embarking upon the journey of PhD. But that can be taken care of gradually. Like another example to validate for people, some of us who struggle, because I'm also product of public school, so I understand my initial struggle with English speaking and writing. So to just validate this point, language is English is not necessary to think and articulate in sociology or any discipline. Like best of the doctors, most of us know, are trained in Cuba, and their medical training was done in Spanish, not in English. Of late, when there is too much public knowledge or celebration, Cuban hospitals or medical colleges have decided to offer knowledge in English also. So that's the, like, connecting dot for all of us, that some of us are not very good with English language. You may take up the journey. You can articulate your thought processes in your native language, mother tongue, and keep taking notes in English at the master's level, at the MPhil or PhD level. And at the moment of writing your PhD thesis, you can seek professional advice like editing of the thesis. And these things may look very individual, that it is personal struggle, but believe me, if this language is one of the factors, along with I put economic factors, major barriers of not people pursuing research. But this may look very individual problem, but it can completely change academic climate in a university, in a college, in a given region, in a given society. That English is no kind of mandatory thing to think and articulate in any discipline, and sociology is no exception to that. And but, like, it some of us may be interesting to know that how language skills can help us to use our, like I'm afraid to use, sometimes we can appropriate other people's scholarship also. Abhinav knows this context. So there is very celebrated anthropologist Akhil Gupta. So he wrote in his book Red Tape, Institutional Ethnography of Bureaucracy at Very Lower Level, block development officers and rural population. But sitting in United States, he borrowed or used text written in 1960s by Sri Lal Shukla, Rag Darbari, where in Hindi novel, where he has also spoken about the struggle of few villagers to obtain documents, land documents from Tehsildar office and all that. So this tells about that sitting in a third world country in public education, when I read Rag Darbari a decade ago, I could never conceptualize, articulate that chapter the way Akhil Gupta took it, thanks to his good English skills and training, methodological training in years. But that's a gradual process. Like language is no barrier. So you may be very good with reading novels or texts in your own language, but believe me, that could be very useful for your further journey. When you take up your PhD, you can use those resources in writing your thesis, or maybe, who knows, after 5-10 years when you become university professor, you can use those examples for teaching. So with this, I would take a pause, and if there are more clarification, I can speak during the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brijesh Chandra Tripathi, for beautifully supplemented the first two speakers again, and also highlighting the important aspects and views of classical sociologies in dealing with academic at professional level and also the society in general. Thank you so much, sir, once again. Now, going on to the question R, but before that, I would like to inform all the participants again. I request all the participants to fill the feedback form which is provided in the chat box already. Certificate will be issued to only participants who fill the feedback form. I request all the participants to kindly give your valuable feedback form so that we will improve in the coming days. Thank you so much. Now we will go to the question R.
Sir, may I ask you a question?
Yes. Please take your
Sir,
time.
yes, sir. This social setup, when we view the society at present, may I know, uh, can I get your view, sir, at present, the system of the society? It's very upsetting and disappointing where the suicidal cases are increasing. Do you have something to say to us?
Ma'am, your question is directed to which speaker? Can you please mention that?
Regarding the second session, sir, second person.
Okay, so this question is for
Yes,
Sir Abhinav.
sir
Hello.
Abhinav.
Yeah, can you repeat your question?
Sir, sir, this is regarding the social status at present, wherever that we are reading, whenever I go through the articles and all, I hear a lot of suicidal cases at present. In India, it is highest. So, do you have something to say about the present society?
I
Affects a late, yeah.
Yeah, I have no large comment as such. Yeah, but uh, as our aspirations are increasing, we are kind of moving towards a very fast kind of lifestyle. So it is definitely affecting our mental health in
Sure,
some
sir.
way,
Yes,
and
sir.
and that's what, like, I cannot comment on a society at large, but yeah, I mean, our lifestyles are one of the reasons. I mean, there are multiple reasons. You have to get into each case of this, each of these suicide cases which is happening. So you cannot. I mean, it's very difficult to comment at large.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you
That's
so
what I
much, sir.
can say.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have question for Dr. Sneha. Your question is sociology off the road of sociological perspective in practice or desire of being jack of all Jill under one umbrella? This question is for Dr. Sneha.
Uh, Sorry, I'm trying to read the question again. So, okay. So I think we need to start thinking about what is sociology and why do we tend to define the boundaries of sociology so strictly, so as to say that sociology is actually going off road the sociological perspective. Because then I would like to ask the question, isn't sociology something that we do every day in our individual lives, as Rajesh also highlighted? I mean, you don't have to go to a university system to understand or to do sociology. And yes, so for a long time, I would say classical sociology kind of also advocated a certain boundary of the discipline. Like, if you do this, then this is sociology. So if you are understanding conflicts or insurgency, I mean, this is sociology. But if you are trying to understand, for example, how Instagram works or how social media has an impact on the youth, and that is not sociology. So I think the entire trajectory of sociology is not only to be critical about what we observe, but also in like to be critical about what we define as the discipline. And right now, if we perceive that sociology is trying to be the jack of all trades under one umbrella, it's not, because that sociology as an ideology, society cannot be compartmentalized or issues cannot be compartmentalized. So I think the need of today and the current situation really urges us. The beginning point itself should be to expand and to cut across different thoughts to understand what the society is. So I would say that one should actually uh, do away with these very strict sort of boundaries that we have defined for our subjects, and it's not always what's from that is sociology. So yeah, that is my response. But if Brijesh or Abhinav wants to pitch in, then please feel free.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we have a question again for Dr. Tripathi. Sir, your question is, can we use case study as a quantitative method of doing social science research?
So, thank you for the question. And I guess question is use a case study method in quantitative research, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, there is a mixed method approach also, where we bring together qualitative research as well as quantitative research, but I will speak about it later. So, yes, very much possible. Case study method can be used in quantitative research also. So let us take example of a city, Mumbai city. So if someone wants to understand, let us say views about the division of labor within families, about participating in work among married couples. So people can do case study of let us say 100 respondents in slum area, 100 people in working class population, in lower middle classes, and upper middle classes. So that case study, those interviews quantitatively collected, let us say how much time someone gives to take care of child, or sit with the child for educating the child, or going to school, how many days that person goes, father goes to school for parents teachers meeting. So may not be very subjective question, maybe based on consumption, how much percentage of salary is spent by father on child's education if both couples are working. So yes, very much possible. Case study method could be used for quantitative research also, and that has been used, but case study method primarily emerged as a qualitative tool, as a qualitative method in psychology also, in sociology also, because case study methods advantage it captures unique experiences, something which may be distinct, may not be necessarily applicable to other population groups or other communities. So that remains then. So what some researchers do, they do quantitative research methods using data, numbers to paint a larger picture of generalization. At the same time, they also use case study, not with numbers, with quantitative, but case study qualitatively to also capture very distinct particularities of that research also. So in both cases, yes, answer is yes. It can be used only as quantitative method as well as in individually qualitative as well as in mixed approach.
Thank you, sir. We have a question for Sir Abhinav. Sir, your question is, most of the sociological research are descriptive and philosophical, that is qualitative. So how can we convert it into as quantitative?
Yeah, I mean, conversion as such is is dependent on data. I mean, what kind of data you have in the field. I mean, you cannot just automatically convert any research into quantitative. Quantitative can be used as an added thing to actually strengthen your observations. I mean, qualitative observations. But yeah, primarily, I mean, sociological research have been descriptive and qualitative, and that will remain as such. But yeah, quantitative techniques like mixed methods Brajesh talked about. So yeah, these quantitative data has been kind of deployed to strengthen your arguments, qualitative arguments from the field. So that's what I would say. I mean, in my field, I mean, uh, like if like my research was qualitative research with the electricity department people in Bhopal. So so whatever observations I got, I also try to supplement those observations with the kind of quantitative data that flows around. I mean, the kind of revenue, the electricity loss data, and transformer failure data. So that would kind of you would then correlate these your qualitative observation about why transformer fails with how many transformers, since you will enrich your data. So that's what my response is.
Thank you, sir. We have another question for Dr. Tripathi. Sir, your question is posted by Ms. Arengla Jamir. Can you recommend me which method will be more easier for fieldwork, survey, research, or data collection, especially in far places?
So this is very, I would say, challenging question to answer. So, but I would split it into two parts. Collecting data, especially if I'm understood the question properly, it's qualitative research in collecting data. It's like been discussed about. So I would give response in two parts. So there is no substitute for direct human interaction, like being sociologists and boundaries are blurred between anthropologists. Anthropologists have lesser burden of generalizing to the larger population or larger society, but sociologists carry that responsibility, and ethnography chipping in by capturing those particularities. But far-flung areas could be geographically, or it could be conflict zones like Palestine. So there could be different meanings of being inaccessible places for doing research. It may be ethnography or qualitative research. So for that matter, I would say if someone is trying to take a PhD project, which is not some funding a project, then someone cannot substitute field. Someone should make efforts to get into the field partially, but not putting your own life as well as respondents' life in danger. Maybe police and other. It's not only geographical access I'm talking about. It's about other conflicts also making field remote. Geographically maybe closer, but other factors make it remote, not easy access. So in that way, one should make efforts to build rapport and get first-hand observations from the field. But if that is failing, someone is not able to do. My one junior colleague in the department, he initially planned to do the ethnography of student movements in JNU and Tata Institute of Social Science in Mumbai. But because of COVID crisis, when universities set up, universities are closed. So he is contemplating to switch to digital ethnography. Digital ethnography or internet-based ethnography, where he can read Facebook posts and other blogs of students, activists, and university administration, and make kind of a response or a big picture of the university. So something which was being constructed in the real medium in the university setup, now he is making an attempt to construct it through digital ethnography. So I would say that someone should initially make efforts even in far and remote places for doing first-hand field experience. But if that fails, academic pragmatism, and if there is a threat to researchers' life as well as people who are being studied, then that's a not good idea to go in the field. And then, but that's another challenge, that there are people who may not be having access to internet. Digital ethnography. Then they may not be using Facebook or mobile phone, or you can do a mobile phone interview. So in that case, I would say then you have to rely on more like paper-based ethnography. Someone should read novels and in libraries, archives, government departments, religious texts written by those communities. So someone has to make a collage, mix, I would say mixed basket to address this problem of not accessing the food.
Thank you, sir. We have received only this much questions. If there is any more, you may unmute yourself and ask questions. Participants, if you have any more questions, you may unmute yourself and ask questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes.
Hello, sir. Today's trend, these social structures sometimes block our spontaneity. The social structures at present, it stops the spontaneity of the individual that really socially they cannot approach to the reality of today's world. Those who are in the social field also they find very difficult. Can I get more enlightenment, sir? When the social structures are blocking, social activists cannot really reach out to the poor and the needy. You have any opinion?
Ma'am, your question is directed to Dr. Kripati.
All right. So
Yes,
there is
sir.
no. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
So
sir.
I would say, the way we are reading in present time, the crisis, that social structure is prohibiting from intervention. Social activists are more committed, socially active people. But instead of saying that social structure has broken continuity, I would say it's in constant flux. It's not the during pandemic time always, as I just keep giving example, like when you say social structure, like I can tell the example from North India. 20 years back in families, young children, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year old children were taken care of by grandparents in joint
Yes.
family setup. But now in bigger cities, when husband, wife, both couples are working, and grandparents are not living with that nuclear family. So there
Yes.
is a culture of daycare centers. So now we have paid emotional labor. So child is taken care of by professional to take care of child's emotional need and feeding the child in daytime, and professionals pick their child in the evening. So I would say that there is not a breakdown of social structure here. Social structure has been modified, and now what the role which was played by family has been chipped in, taken over by the market. Market is
Yes.
performing the role of the family, like elderly peoples. So in response to your question, so social structure has not broken the continuity, I would say, but social structure has been transformed. It has brought a new trajectory. And so the way I spoke, that there is a sense of distrust. The trust is broken during this pandemic time. Drivers, domestic help, delivery boys, especially people who were on full-time role of middle class families for years, and suddenly they have been deserted financially. So the mutual trust, it was not only legal. As a student of sociology, domestic help did not sign legal contract with those families. So the trust is broken. And what you are saying, people are increasingly finding difficult to trust anyone, including even well-intentioned NGOs or social activist group. So what, as reading as a student of sociology, your question, I would say it's not blockade or institutional blockade or government or certain set of vested interest groups are prohibiting from helping people. I would say social relations is also undergoing transformation. So I would say trust is biggest casualty during this pandemic, in addition to livelihood loss. So that societal trust in different societies has taken a big actually dip. So I think this response is of some use to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Now we have one more question for Dr. Sneha. How then we will come with solution to social problems specifically?
So, uh, you mean if we take the interdisciplinary approach in that case, or is the question framed like that? Sorry, I just want to clarify the question.
Ms. Kalpana Singh, if you are still here, can you please mention clearly your question?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon to everyone. So my question was that the sociological perspective is day by day taking a very vague form and going like the second speaker introduced means I got to know about the black box, particular concept of black box. So like it was started from Herbert Spencer taking some words from science and getting into sociology and defining it in social terms. How long it will uh, limit the sociology, and we will come to some conclusion, because when we go for solution of some social problems, then it is not from sociological perspective. My concern is for sociological perspective, what we are looking in medical sociology, what we are looking in media, what we are looking in politics. So there are number of fields are there, but the sociological perspective, my concern is mainly on sociological perspective. I think it's clear for you now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Right. So what what I would like to mention here is that firstly we should ask ourselves, what is sociological perspective? I mean, does it mean understanding society from the theories that we have studied, or from what we know the scholars have written about? So sociological perspective is actually an approach to understand our surroundings, and to engage in a rigorous and a critical analysis, and to ask questions, and to observe why individuals and groups behave in the way they do. So what I think is that this is what sociological perspective is. And so in this context, if we are trying to sociologically address a problem that we have identified, the perspective that matters is using your, of course, your disciplinary knowledge, your subjective knowledge about how you can look at society, individuals, groups. But at the same time, again, my response would be these cannot be compartmentalized. So if you have to understand the COVID situation, you cannot just think about health sociology, or you cannot just ask just one single question. You have to look into the interlinkages. So what are the forward linkages? What are the backward linkages? And then then kind of define your own objective or motivation in what you're trying to address. So the COVID situation has opened up a range of issues, from migration, employment, health crisis, to a lot of other issues. So I would say that if you're identifying a social issue, it's not about being limited within your own, what we understand as discipline, but to also bring in, for example, the psychological perspective, the behavioral perspective, or the personal motivation of migrant workers. Why did they go to the cities at the first place? So to identify a solution, we have to consider all these issues as well. And personally, I think sociological perspective is not, it's not written on stone. It's something that we are constantly questioning and developing and pushing it forward. And also, what from what Abhinav mentioned, that we are kind of diverging as a discipline. As a discipline grows, you have a lot of sub disciplines, and they are I would say, a more specialized or a more focused approach to address what we understand as sociology or what is a social problem. So that is what that's how I would respond to that. I don't know if I've satisfied your question, but yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, since we are running out of time, this will be the last question. This question is being asked to all the speakers. Interdisciplinary approach is the cornerstone of research at the moment. We understand the importance of incorporating more than one discipline, but my question is this kind of interdisciplinary approach necessary in degree courses, which we are yet to master our subject but has been highlighted in new education policy?
I would like to respond to this.
Okay, sir, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, uh, interdisciplinary approach is I would say we should not mix interdisciplinary degree with interdisciplinary approach. Interdisciplinary approach is what we practice. I mean, what we actually use to understand a problem, to properly analyze a problem. But yeah, courses are interdisciplinary courses, interdisciplinary subjects are important, but I would not say they exhaust the possibility of they exhaust the approach. So even if you are I mean doing core sociology, core masters in I mean anthropology, whatever subject you are doing, master in history, you can it actually interdisciplinary approach actually gives you the way to actually enter into other subjects, other domains, and learn from it for your understanding. So I mean, don't it. I would not support it. I mean, mixing it with the degree as such. I mean, the name of the degree or the title of the degree. NEP. I've heard NEP proposes that the interdisciplinary courses, but how do we go about it? It's just a policy. I mean, how it is implemented is a I mean $1 million question. I don't know.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Tripathi and Dr. Snika may also share to this question.
I okay. Bridget,
No, please go ahead. Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to.
yeah, yeah. No, I just want to actually just compliment what Abhinav is saying that yes, when you're doing a certain degree in a university setup, uh, you get a degree in a discipline. And there are few programs that allow you to get a master's in, for example, developmental studies, which again is an amalgamation of I would say different disciplines and approaches. So when you're doing your degree courses, it should uh, it should be your attitude towards what you are studying, that you kind of relate different aspects of what you know, and you try to correlate at the level when you are pursuing your masters. And it's not so much about interdisciplinary approach in the sense of as Abhinav said, like you should not mix these two things. So and I would again highlight the importance of interdisciplinary approach in understanding. I mean, we are already doing it when we try and make sense of our surroundings, even if we don't have a university degree. I mean, a degree is independent of the way we look at things, but it's about again developing that kind of perspective, and this itself can be called like a sociological perspective or uh, an interdisciplinary perspective. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say, and I would pass it on to Pritesh.
So this is, I believe, perpetual, not question, but anxiety. This will go on. So like we are running out of the time, so I would speak more practically. So let us assume the way world is getting complex, societal problems are complex, even with resolution, technology bringing into our social relations everywhere, making things complicated. So I see any discipline, including sociology's role, like I use specs, so I go to ophthalmologist, eye doctor, and if my power is fluctuating, it's like with advancement of age, it's like so. Sometimes they give me different lenses, like different size, different power. So they keep on experimenting which one is bringing more clarity to me. So these disciplines are to me like sociology, development studies, policy studies, science studies, sociology of science. So these are only those different lenses which could be used full contextually in a particular situation to clarify the problem, understand the problem, and offer the solution. But that's the Snell's point is there that but you need to have your own location. So you cannot be in flux. You cannot be without foundation. But having foundation means your location into a discipline, let us say sociology, that does not mean that you will be closed. But there should be permeable boundary. You should not be closed that I am pure in the sense that if I am sociologist, I will not engage with social workers or public policy people. So those hierarchies should not exist, but having kind of anchor in one discipline is good. That gives you kind of academic intellectual identity. But at the same time, you should be willing to take dialogue, not for your own personal intellectual enterprise, but for the complex societal problems. Also, like during this pandemic time, the biologists, virologists are working, then at the same time, social worker, sociologists, economists, everybody is trying to contribute how to tackle or deal with this pandemic. So that's my little response on this.
Thank you, Dr. Sneha, Dr. Brijesh, and Sir Abhinav Sharma for your response and making it very clear to the questions. As now our time is running out, we will come to the concluding part. Before that, I would like to say thank you to all the speakers for availing your precious time and sharing your valuable wisdoms and knowledge with us. It was indeed a very meaningful and informative session. I also want to thank everyone for your active participation. Without you, all these webinar would not be a successful one. I thank everyone who have contributed in different ways for the success of this webinar. With this, we come to the end of One Day International Webinar. Thank you so much once again. Have a wonderful time. Stay safe and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hey, Sneh. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Haji Sarami, Haji take from the process of the season. Certificate. What betul saya ketemu Lesna. Jadi tak kira nak pakai nak suruh. Sudah pun suruh. What body takes away from the screen? Dalam kali kodam dulu kali kisi jadi. Digital things like quick create work. With them for event things like create. काम गर्नु चाहिँ एटेन्डेन्स पिछला हो मलाई रातिले एटेन्डेन्स पछि क्लास नै अबे बल्ले बल चाहिँ त्यसको काम गर्नु म
这个都基本系统NFS 老师那帮你确定后面哪个带过去मतलब that they were enrollment para lo chunchi to discontinue यतिवटा यदि एडमिसन होइसिन ना तो registration तो नाती तो ताती वड़ा दिखे जी दाम नहीं जो बा
Oh my god. That means they were forced to repeat from there every year.
तो यतिवटा कैसे हो
Rob million na rugi na sir. Nampak na. Join me na. Percentage to the side academy so 53.5. 53.5. 아야 doctor जी कोई तो ना पढ़े तो दिशा करो तो कल
No, if he's not able to come to work, then
virtually
okay, do any these things I will make
living in absence of material quantity ना virtually practical होने लगे
No, I can come tomorrow.
one thing generally we try with
What about this?
those things we will have to check this file.
No, you just talk to him today once. Yeah, if he's able to make my Thursday, then I can make Thursday also. It's okay.
No, you will need Thursday new problem will come.
Okay, but okay, then let me talk to him and if not
Because
possible,
Yeah, you just decide. Sorry, Thursday.
now you see Thursday is 14 August. So now Independence Day.
Friday, 13 is
Or 13 is Thursday na.
14 to 04 is 14 to 04 is
13 wait. Tomorrow is one less chance.
You see the sir, all the brand new without him,
File to file over. Only
come to bishop of the
file to we check we na file over. Okay, if he can come, let him come. If not, then we will try whatever we can. No, even if we are not able, even if we cannot,
Okay, the complainer for.
complimentary signature as well.
even if we cannot finish 100% of it, we will try to finish whatever we can. Hey,
Same thing.
well done, okay, well done, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, hello, bye everyone.
So,
Have a good day.